Good morning, my friends. Today is Thursday, April 23rd, and I did post a very different version of Little Red Riding Hood called Red in the City for you to listen to. So today for our writer's block, we're just going to be making a nice T-chart like this, and we're going to be talking about what is the same and what is different in these two stories. So the first thing that you're going to think about is character, setting, plot, the problem, and the solution. And you'll see where they're the same or different. So the things that may be the same, there are the same characters in both stories. And you could list who they are, Red and the wolf and Granny. And then there's some differences. There's no woodcutter or helper gentleman in the story, but there is, I think, a little mouse. So you check and see what are different in the characters. There are many differences in the setting, and there are some things the same in the setting. So in the setting, Red starts at her house. That's the same. And she ends at Grandma's house. But there's a big difference in the settings. One is in the country, and they have to go through a forest. And one is in the city. And that's a big difference for us, my friends. What is the problem? And are they the same? Is the problem the same or different? Well, Red is on her way to Grandma's house, so that's the same. On her way to Grandma's. And she strays off the path. That means she walked places she's not supposed to go. I'll put that up higher so you can see it all. That's the same, but the problem's a little bit different. In one, on the forest story, there's a real wolf. But in the city story, I'm going to leave it blank for you to see how the problem is different when she strays off the path. Have a look and see. Still have our T-chart. Easy to do. We want to know what's the same. What's the difference? Different. My F's not very good there. In the solution. How did she get away from the wolf or beat the wolf? In the forest. And in the city story, it's how did she find, oh, I put did she, I want find here. Find Grandma's house. Listen to the story first, my friends, so you know how did she find Grandma's house. Did the wolf come back? That's a good wondering if it's the same or different. And then I want you, my friends, to take a look at any other changes in the plot between the two things. You've covered most of the same and difference if you've looked at how are the characters the same or different and write them down, so the same characters and if there's any different characters. The setting, and see how I wrote the setting was different. Her house and Grandma's house was the same, but it was different because it was country or city. I'll put an or there. The problems were a little bit different. She's on her way to Grandma's and she strays off the path. That's the same. But in the forest, there's a real wolf stalking her that wants to eat her. And in the city, it's something else. So pay attention to see if you can figure out what's that something else. The solutions are a little bit different. So she beat the wolf in the forest. Tell me, how did she do that? And how did she find Grandma's house is the solution for the city. then have a look at the plot, my friend, what happened in the beginning, middle, and end, and see if there's any other changes you didn't already talk about, any parts of the plot that were the same or any parts of the plot that were different that we didn't already talk about in our chart. Go ahead and make me a quick T-chart with lists. You do not have to write full sentences. Lists are just jot notes about how one story was the same and one story was different. I hope you enjoy Red in the City. It's a really cute version of Little Red Riding Hood. Have a wonderful Thursday.